Welcome, everybody. This is your host, Izzy, and this is the Redzone Report right here on the Built in Buffalo YouTube, X, and Facebook channels. We're here to discuss the schedule and OTAs. Not in that particular order, but we're here to talk about it. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. And again, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Izzy, right here on the Built in Buffalo YouTube, Facebook, and X channels. And I am here to discuss the Buffalo Bills 2026 schedule and the OTAs. And we're going to go in reverse order of that because when I was doing my research, I did the OTAs first and put all my notes in little bulletins here, or banners. And so we'll discuss that first. And then we're going to get to the schedule, where I took some notes and read over some things. I haven't really been in media the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I didn't do a show last week because I was on a trip with my family. I was supposed to be on a trip with my family this week too, so I was supposed to miss 2 weeks. And so due to that trip being canceled this weekend because of weather in Virginia, I decided to just go ahead and go live. Why not just go live, have a little fun with it, and discuss things with you guys. So here I am, back with another one, and yeah, the Buffalo Bills had a interesting offseason since the draft. Right, they had the draft, they drafted who they drafted. That was my last show. Basically, was talking about the draft picks and such. And now the Buffalo Bills have entered OTAs, right? And so organized team activities, which are voluntary, they're not mandatory. So there are some players who are not in attendance, like Deion Dawkins, like Dorian Williams, and some other guys who weren't there, which means that some of the younger guys got reps, like a Caleb Elarmzor and like a Jude Bowery, guys like that, young rookies were able to probably get more reps with those veterans not being in attendance. And so I try to look at it as a blessing rather than a curse, so to speak. Just, being aware that some of those guys weren't there and that these things are not mandatory. Although I rather would have had Dorian Williams be in OTAs because this is a new defense. This isn't Sean McDermott's defense. So you're not familiar with what we're doing now. You have a whole new playbook to learn. Or Deion Dawkins missing it. He's been in Joe Brady's offense for like 2 years. The offense hasn't changed all that much in that much time. However, new offensive line coach, but it is a Aaron Kromer descendant. When I say that, I don't mean like it's his kid or his nephew or something like that. It is Aaron Kromer's, former assistant offensive line coach. Way back in the day, he was an assistant. It wasn't our previous assistant, although I do believe our previous assistant O-line coach is still in place. But we got this guy from the Steelers. Neither here nor there. The Buffalo Bills have had some coaching changes, obviously. Brand new head coach who was formerly our offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator. I see you, Chris Roseborough right here. Go Bills, baby. New, DC and Jim Leonard. So some of the guys on defense who aren't here, like you should be here. You should be in Buffalo right now. I'm not in Buffalo, obviously, but you know what I mean. You should be with the team at the facility, working out, getting reps, learning the playbook, getting with coaches, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All that, right? So I don't want to make a huge deal about it because it's not that big a deal because it is voluntary. However, I feel like it's something that behooves you to be here. That's just how I feel about it. But we are here to discuss the guys who were here and the ones that really got highlighted in the media. The Sacapachos of the world. The actual Buffalo media that gets to media passes and gets to get in there and show us what's going on. And so the first thing that really caught my eye and ear and had me being happy that it happened was, there goes Kim Boomhauer. There you go, Kim. Welcome back to the show, baby. Agree they need to take in the new Stephen. Exactly. Right? If you're not here to do that, you're going to be behind. And Dorian Williams is penciled in as a starter right now as one of the only previous linebackers from the previous regime on this team. He's going into his contract year, I think. This is his 4th year. Like, if you want to set yourself back, that's your problem. But, like, I think that Dorian, you should be there, but it's not that big a deal. Right, they did draft somebody, so they'll be there. Take that for what it's worth. Willie Harden, hello. How you doing, Willie? Welcome to the show. All right, so the first thing I saw was positive feedback about somebody who we traded for, right? And that is, of course, wide receiver DJ Moore. DJ Moore, Josh Allen says he's smooth. His catching and route running shows it. And he seems to be developing chemistry with QB1 quickly. This is something that is really interesting to me and very positive to me because we haven't had a true wide receiver 1 since Stephon Diggs. Now, is DJ Moore as good as Diggs? Some people would argue he has been. Is he as good as prime Diggs, like when he first got to Buffalo? No. Could he be a 1,200-yard receiver this year? He could be. He could be. He still has it. I don't think that his time in Chicago last year and the year before were really something that he could really work with. He was working with a rookie quarterback, and he'd worked with worse quarterbacks than Caleb Williams in the past, but chemistry is a big deal. And I think that DJ Moore going out there and showing that he still has the footwork, he still has the route running, he still, has the hands, and he's developing chemistry with our quarterback is phenomenal. That's good news. That's to be celebrated and to be, acknowledged. DJ Moore coming in here, we gave up a 2nd-round pick for him. A lot of people weren't happy about it. I was, hoping we got him for like a 3rd or a 4th, but apparently there were other suitors when they heard that he was going to get cut. A lot of people were like, he was going to get cut. We shouldn't have traded for him. No. He was going to get traded. If there was no trade market, he was going to get cut. But there was a trade market. Therefore, we did what we did. But I don't know if, at the time I felt that value was appropriate. He can make it appropriate by balling out. He can. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think that DJ Moore showing that he is putting in the hard work, which he's never been accused of not. DJ Moore showing that he's got good chemistry with our quarterback. They're about the same age. They were coming out in the same draft class. They've met before and spent some time together. They have a good rapport. Like, to me, that's important. That's a very important aspect of who DJ Moore is and who he can be for this team. And so that, to me, is an important, nugget that the media gave us. DJ Moore's out there busting his butt, catching balls. The balls are on time. So his routes and his footwork are matching up with the quarterback wants and needs out of a receiver. And that will open up all the receivers underneath him on the depth chart. The Khalil Shakirs, the Keon Coleman's, the Skylar Bells, the Joshua Palmers, whoever's on this roster, behind DJ Moore, because DJ Moore's probably going to be our X. He may sometimes play on the other side of the field, but he's most likely going to be our X receiver. Then you have Khalil Shakir, who's going to be, in the slot. And then whoever's going to be the other boundary corner, boundary receiver, their job becomes easier. So if that's Keon Coleman, if that's Skylar Bell, if that's whoever is on this roster, if Shakir bounces out a little bit so Keon can play in the slot a little bit, however they decide to do it, the opposite receiver from him is going to be benefited from it. And so is the slot. Although most teams have their own, they have a nickel back who's going to be on the field, and they're either going to be able to match up with Khalil or whoever's in the slot or not. But the fact remains, DJ Moore, his presence opens up things for other players. Let's see. We got some new comments. Scott Joyce. Hello, Scott. Welcome to the party. I miss watching my Bills play. You and me both, Ruben, man. You and me both. Willie Harden. Very true. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Now, staying on the offense, which I'm doing because this is all I heard about. Not all offense, but this on the offense I got it offense and then defense. Skylar Bell. Now, he looks good, right? Footwork looks good. You know, route running looks good, but he's had a couple drops in practice. Now, we talking about practice here, right? We on your Allen Iverson tip. We talking practice. And so since we're talking practice, I want to say it's not a big deal, but a lot of people believe you practice how you play. I don't necessarily believe that, right? I played football, I wrestled, and I definitely did not practice how I played. I took practice a little easier, right? I drilled more, but I didn't go like full go, balls out every single time, every single rep. It was, focusing on how deep I had to go for my route, how precise and how quickly I wanted to step off into the second phase of my route. In wrestling, being particular about how I went for a single leg or a high crotch or a double leg or an ankle pick or a Russian, however I wanted to move, I wanted to make sure that I felt comfortable with the technique I was doing. I was more technique focused, right? And that could be what Skylar Bell is too. I don't know, but some people believe that if you practice hard, you play hard. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case, but for some people, it may be true. So we'll just say that's what it is. Skylar Bell, I think will be fine, but we felt the same way about Casey Concepcion with some of the drops that he had, and everybody wanted him. So he ended up going to the Browns. It is what it is. Now, Scott Joyce, go Bills. Let's go. He will get it together. I think so. I think it's, OTAs, first time on an NFL field, even though it's not an NFL game. It's in shorts. They had, quarterbacks who were just camp arms throwing to him. It's not like Josh was out there throwing to him. It's not like, Kyle was out there throwing to him. Unless they're talking about, actually, they were talking about OTAs. So, no, Josh and Kyle were out there. So, I don't know who was throwing to him, but it's practice. So, we'll see what happens. D.D. Wells, welcome to the channel. Go Bills. Go Bills, baby. All right. But Skylar Bell, I think he's going to be fine. Jitters is a thing. You could be starstruck a little bit. Oh, shoot, that's Josh Allen. Oh, shoot, that's DJ Moore. Oh, shoot, that's Dalton Kincaid. Oh, shoot, that's Deion Dawkins. Deion wasn't there, so not him. But you get what I'm saying. Like, you're meeting these NFL players, and you're like, oh, okay, this is the team that's gone to the AFC Championship twice in the last 7 years. This is the team that's gone to the divisional round every year since Josh Allen's joined into the NFL. Like, this is the team that wins. May not have won a Super Bowl, may not have gotten to one yet, but they win. And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for now because it's, again, week 1 of OTAs. We'll see how he goes forward, but Skylar Bell, I think, will be fine. Next player has a little more history with us, and that is Keon Coleman. Let's be real. He's not telling any lies here, right? He says it's a make or break year for him, and it kind of is. This is year 3. Last year was riddled with, disciplinary issues. Year 1, injuries. But he looked a lot better in year 1, right? He just did. He looked like he was playing more free. And then he got hurt. And he got hurt by a player who was on the team in 2025, and Jordan Poyer, who came back. And I think that Keon Coleman has all the skills. He has all of the talent. He's not super fast, but not every wide receiver is. Puka Nacua is not super fast. Devontae Adams not super fast. You can get away with not being Keenan Allen, not super fast. You can get away with not being super fast. You have to develop your technique. You have to develop your work habits. You have to develop your skills. You have to develop your maturity. And the maturity is the only one you can't really control, right? Comes with age. Some of us mature a little earlier than others. Some mature a little later than others. It's just the nature of the beast. Is how people are. Human beings are human beings. But he needs to grow up. And he sees it. He recognizes it. And he's said it. Last year he said similar things. Not that, he was having the same issue. The year before he was injured. So he was like, I was asked last year. And then this year he said it again. I was asked last year. So now here we are again. And we need you to not be asked. We need you to go out there and play good ball. We need you to go out there and do what you're supposed to do. I don't mean, just to say any bad words and saying the word ass. I mean, it means donkey or, backside. It is what it is. But we all know when somebody says something is ass, it's not good. Right? It's not good. So he's been working with Stevie Johnson, SJ13. That's why I put SJ13 there. You guys know who that is. Our boy Stevie, one of the best route runners ever to play for the Buffalo Bills, and one of the best, footwork technicians in the history of the NFL. His footwork has been shown at the combine to show people how to run routes. But he is an example of that. You don't do that without being that damn good at what you're doing, right? Stevie Johnson, good guy to work with, I think. Stevie's kind of a playful dude too, so I think that their personalities kind of meshing together a little bit, especially since Stevie Johnson's not really in a place of authority over Keon Coleman. He's more of a mentor, which somewhat gives you a little bit of an authority, but there's no actual authority there, right? There's no like he's a coach, so now you have to listen to him. There's no he can just say, "To heck with you, Stevie, bye," and then never talk to him again. But he wants to be mentored by Stevie Johnson, and that's awesome. That's awesome. He picked a good one. Khalil Shakir picked Eric Moulds, awesome one to pick. So, I like the way that he's thinking, and I like the way he's talking. I just need to start liking the way he's acting. So Keon Coleman needs to get his butt on his P's and Q's and start doing the work that is necessary for this to happen. So I think with DJ here, Keon will be a lot more productive. I think that's possible. I think it's very possible. It's maybe even likely. I think that DJ Moore is going to open up everybody else. So that to me is paramount to the success of this Buffalo Bills team. See, if we get back to the Super Bowl, I believe we will get the W. I hope you're right. I hope we get there, and I hope you're right, because I don't want to watch us lose one. But you can't get to one, or you can't win one unless you get to one. And if you get to one, the possibility is you lose. So go Bills. Now, the next player on my list, I think everybody loves him. When he's on the field, this offense just clicks. The offense puts up more yardage, more points. He opens up things for other players, but he's missed some significant time due to injuries or, nagging, pain, whatever you want to call it. But that is, of course, tight end Dalton Kincaid. I love Dalton Kincaid, man. Awesome route runner, really good hands, developing as a blocker. He's not going to be, a Jackson Hawes, or he might get up to like a Dawson Knox level blocking. And if he does, watch out, because Dawson Knox is a pretty good blocker. Dalton Kincaid is the real deal, but he is also real injured often. And so we need him to focus on recovery. He said that multiple team doctors and outside physicians told him surgery wasn't the answer for his I think it was his PCL. And so with that being the case, he listened to those doctors and he didn't get surgery. And a lot of fans are out here saying, hey, you should have got that surgery. And none of us are doctors. I mean, some of us might be doctors, but most of us aren't doctors. And so if you're a doctor and you haven't looked at his injury, you haven't seen the charts, you haven't seen the x-rays, who are we to tell him what he should and shouldn't have done with his body? I know we all want what's best for him and the team, and, that's fine. But at the same time, he's a grown man who went and sought professional help. Those professionals told him, don't get the surgery. So he listened to the help. Simple as that. And so I don't really know if I feel any type of way towards the decision to or not to have surgery. But again, grown man, do what you're going to do, man. But he looks good out there, But he always looks good out there. When he's out there, he always looks good. So we'll see what happens. He definitely put on some more weight. I don't know if that's gonna help or not. It depends on his joint strength and his the strength of his bones and how that goes. But we'll see. I like what I'm hearing about it. So Dalton Kincaid, please find a way to stay healthy. Take care of your body and listen to the doctors. Do what you got to do. But Bills Mafia loves it when you're on the field because, man, Josh plays so much better when he has his excellent tight end. And then you and Knox on the field, or you and Hawes, like you guys complement each other so well that it's a no-brainer that we want you guys to be out there and available, because availability is the best ability. Let's be real. Comments. Looking forward to seeing Skylar Bell brings to the table. You and me both, Cheryl. You and me both. Thank you and welcome back to the channel. Awesome to have you here. Now, those are the 4 players on offense that I have highlighted, who the media highlighted. Right? They didn't really highlight Khalil Shakir at all. They didn't highlight the offensive line. They're in shorts, so they're not gonna those big impact guys, James Cooks, the O line. They're not gonna really evaluate and say, oh wow, James Cook looks good out there in shorts with blockers in shorts and no pads, and defensive linemen in shorts and no pads. Like those positions aren't going to get the shine, right? But the defensive side that I'm looking at is being discussed for a different reason. It's due to injuries. So the first one is Landon Jackson, right? Landon Jackson played last year in the 260s. He said it was like 265. He's put on like 20 pounds. He's like 280, 285 right now, right? The media keeps saying he was 260. When he did his press conference or his interview, it was like, he said like 265, 267, right? And so he's at 280, 285. He said he can enjoy all the steak and mashed potatoes that he wants. He's like, I'm eating a lot and I'm eating good, but he's still eating healthy. And he looks like a freaking rock. Like he looks like The Rock, but with alopecia and white. He's big. He's big. 285 is massive, right? Now he's going to be an interior defensive lineman technically because it's a 3-4. So all of the defensive linemen are technically interior because your edge rushers are outside linebackers who are off the ball or they're on the ball, but their hand is out of the dirt. They're standing in the 2-point stance, not in the 3-point stance. Their hand is not in the dirt. So he's going to be a hand in the dirt. Sometimes edge rusher, but mostly, penetrator, blocker eater, that type of deal. He's a defensive lineman. He was last year too, but last year he was a defensive end in a 4-3. Now 3-4 defensive end, bulking up and playing a position that he played in college. So he will play 4-eye or 5 technique. Really depends on the strength alignment of the offense, whether the strong side is the left or the right side, and that depends on where the tight end lines up. You may have a outside linebacker who is pass rushing, drop back into coverage, and then the opposite side will rush, and then vice versa. They could switch, or they could run, 5 men down, and then you have the other 6 in coverage. Just depends on how they want to do things, and that's really going to be mostly in base formation. In not in our 2-4-5 or 3-3-5, it'll be a little different. So we'll see. But he's not going to be lost out there, as I put in my comments here. These comments are me listening to the information and then giving it back to you in a way that I think is a little more palatable sometimes. So next player that we're talking about here is Michael Hoyt. Michael Hoyt. So linebacker Michael Hoyt is an animal. So like an animal on the sidelines, he's jumping around, working out with the medicine ball. He looks like he's ready to compete now. Like he looks like he's dinged up for a game and not playing. That's what he looks like, because he's out there doing stupid recovery stuff. It's like he's already ready. And I don't know if that's the case because he's not out there, hitting bags and hitting sleds, but he's out there like doing real physical work. Like he's putting it down. So we'll see what happens with Michael Hoyt. I really, really liked what I saw out of him last year for those 2 games, those 7 quarters he played, because he was disruptive. And I really think we talked about him playing the Lorenzo Alexander role in the McDermott defense last year, but I also still remember Lorenzo Alexander in Rex Ryan's defense and how disruptive he was in that. And that is a scary proposition for other teams, because Lorax was nasty in that Rex Ryan defense. He was nasty. And so if Hoyt, who I believe is a smarter linebacker, but maybe not as physically imposing as Lorenzo Alexander, like Lorenzo Alexander was a beast, but he was also really smart. But I don't know if he's as smart, as Hoyt. Hoyt is like he's genius level smart. He went to Ivy League school, right? That's I'm just going to call it what it is. He went to a higher level of education, higher learning than Lorenzo Alexander, who I believe went to San Diego State. I'm not positive, but our boy, I'm gonna look that up now. I could be totally wrong on that. He could have gone to like freaking Tennessee or something. Alexander college was his wife's name is Manjanique. He's from Oakland, and he went to college at California, Berkeley. So close, but no cigar. And then Michael Hoyt. Let's see if I was right about this too. He's from Oakville, Ontario. Yep, he went to Brown University, Ivy League school. So I was correct. Hoyt could be a dog in his defense. And so just FYI, I don't know if you heard it here first or if somebody else said it already, but I liked what I saw last year. So let's see what happens this year. Coming off an Achilles, I know it's tough for some people. He might just have the mental strength, the mental toughness to get past that. Now, the last guy, Dwayne Carter. His rookie year, very underwhelming play as a 3 tech in our 4-3. This past year, he was under the knife for a Achilles tear, and just he never played last year. He played, I think, a little in the preseason towards Achilles. That's a wrap. Go home, have your surgery, rest up for the year. He's a full year removed from his surgery now, roughly a full year removed. He's going to be fine when it comes to his health. From what I understand, he's an awesome dude, and that's cool and all, but we need you to be an awesome player. And so what he's done is, like Jackson did, he put on some size. Says he's around 230 pounds. He came into the team around 306, excuse me. Say he's not 230, 330. What am I talking about? Let me fix that typo. 330 pounds. So he says he's around 330 pounds. He came in around 305, 306. So about 20, 25 pound jump. For a defensive tackle who's already over 300 pounds, 25 pounds is less of a deal than it is for someone like Landon Jackson, who's 265. You put on 20 pounds. It's a big deal for him, but it doesn't look like a big deal for Landon either. But for Dwayne, it seems like even less of a problem. Yep, Michaelis Brown University. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I saw the comment pop up, but I didn't read it until after. I was looking at my banners here. But Dwayne Carter coming out of Duke, another very high-end university. That doesn't always matter. Your intelligence doesn't always matter if you don't have the skill set and the ability, the physical ability to achieve the goal. Dwayne Carter putting on 25 pounds and deciding that, hey, I'm going to take the initiative. I'm going to go play nose tackle, and I'm going to rotate with Deion Walker. Right, Deion Walker is going to be our primary nose tackle as of right now, and Dwayne Carter is going to be the guy who rotates in there. I think you'll see Deion Walker more in our 2-4-5, and he'll move around along the entire defensive line. But Dwayne Carter, I think, will be purely our 0 tech nose tackle. And so him, Hoyt, and Jackson all work together throughout their recovery from their various injuries, and that right there helps build a chemistry. Sometimes you use the injury as a springboard to be better, to do better, right? Sometimes you learn to be a better teammate. You get around other guys who've been hurt. You guys recover together. You form a bond. You start learning each other's ways. You talk ball, obviously, because these 3 guys love ball. Dwayne Carter is a leader. He was at Duke, but the talent needs to show on the field. I like what I'm hearing about Dwayne Carter, but I need to see it to believe it. I got to see it. You got to show me, because I don't just buy things based on a whim. You understand? So that's my take on the players that I heard about from camp, and we'll go on to the schedule. Now, the Bills open the season against Houston. Season opener against Houston. Now, this is an important game and a tough game, but it's also week 1, right? So if we don't win this game, it's one game. But I would like to have the Bills start the season on a win. I would like to have the Bills, start the season with an AFC advantage. I would like to see the Buffalo Bills go out there and prove that they can beat the Texans. So that way, when come playoff time, they're not as worried. I think adding a guy like DJ Moore helps with this right here because Houston is a problem. New England beat them in the playoffs last year, but New England's defense was nasty too. Our defense last year was not. Just wasn't. They were good against the pass, but we got scrapped against the run. So this year, hopefully our run defense can be better, and hopefully our pass rush can be better. Because when you look at our defense over all the years with Sean McDermott, the defensive line has really been what struggles the most. We haven't been able to generate a pass rush. We have not been able to stop running backs. That's a defensive line problem if I ever heard one, right? And that may be an oversimplification, but they still need to improve. Like they got to improve. What is going on with my camera? This looks weird. Okay. Maybe it's just the angle I'm looking at. So I'm looking at the TV behind the camera, which is what I'm broadcasting on. All right. So opening against Houston. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. It's also an away game, so par for the course. Then the Buffalo Bills play against Detroit in the home opener of the Buffalo Bills' new Highmark Stadium. That's going to be fun. The Buffalo Bills have a lot of history with the Detroit Lions. Whenever the Bills have had games that were snowed out and the Bills couldn't get to the stadium, they would go to Detroit. One year we played in Detroit against, I think it was the Browns one week, and then we played against Detroit again the next week in Detroit. So we had like a home game in Detroit, and then we played an away game in Detroit back to back. That's pretty cool. When I was younger, when I was still in the Army and hanging around, what I came to find out was, every Bills fan has a good Lions fan friend if you don't live in Buffalo. Like you just have a friend who's a Lions fan who just shares in the misery with you. At that time when we were both in droughts, now both teams are pretty good. So we'll see what happens, but like this is a fun one. I really do think we're gonna enjoy this game. We have a mini bye here because the next week we go against the Chargers on Sunday at 1 p.m. In Buffalo. So we have 3 back-to-back home games: Lions, Chargers, Patriots. The Bills are favored in all 4 of those first games. In fact, the Bills are favorites in 14 of the 17 games. So if the Bills were to win all games favored and they lost all games they weren't favored in, we'd be 14-3. And the ones that we aren't favored in are against the Rams, the Packers, and at the Patriots. We're favored against the Patriots at home. We're favored to lose against the Patriots on the road. Those games we're dogs in. Now, once we finish that for the first quarter of the season, it's not a 16-game season, so it's technically not a quarter anymore. But I'm going to break it down, 4, 4, 4, 5. Okay. The Bills could go undefeated that first quarter of the season. But that's a gauntlet, right? The Texans, playoff team. Chargers, playoff team. Patriots, AFC champions. Soft schedule, I know. You don't have to tell me in the comments. I know. Lions, playoff team, 3 of the last 4 years. That game is going to be tough. They had a lot of injuries last year, and they lost both of their coordinators, and now they're trying to move forward with new coaching. And Dan Campbell, helped shore some stuff up later in the season, but the Lions are capable. They have talent. They have real talent. They have Jared Goff. They have Jahmyr Gibbs. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Sam Laporta. I mean, that offense is stacked with talent. Penei Sewell on the offensive line, nasty. And then they had one heck of a draft, if you ask me. So the Lions are going to be tough. The Chargers, also tough. They brought in Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins to be their OC. Not a great defense, not a great head coach, but he was a solid offensive coordinator over in San Francisco. And as bad as the Dolphins were, and as much as we may believe it's Mike McDaniel's fault, I'm going to say this. Mike McDaniel made the playoffs with Tua. You know, I think he's a good coach. Do I think he's going to be like an outstanding OC? Very possible. Do I think he's going to be a head coach again one day? We'll see what happens there. Bruce Arians had a saying, there's two types of head coaches out there. Ones who have been fired, will be fired. Here we are. So Mike McDaniels got his chance. And I'll say that it was kind of his fault in Miami because he pumped Tua up. He pumped him up. And Tua looked good for a little while, and then he started getting hurt, and then now he's in Atlanta. Mike McDaniel's out as well. And, now he's back in, California, but now in LA. So we'll see what happens there. So the next quarter of the season, after that, gauntlet of a first quarter, we have the Rams, Raiders, Ravens, and Vikings. So at the Rams, at the Raiders. If I'm the Bills, I stay in LA, right? You fly out to LA, you play your game there. Hey, Josh, your family's from around here, right? You guys have a lot of land, right? You got some room? I don't know. Figure something out. But I stay out there. I stay the hell away from Vegas until game day. Because, strippers, booze, and gambling, late nights, Vegas wins, baby. The house always wins. So you stay away from Vegas until you got to play the game, then you get the hell out of there. So primetime game against the Rams. Then you have the game against the Raiders. After that, you come home, you play Baltimore at home, and you head to Minnesota for another primetime game, right? We have 6 primetime games. 6. 4 of those primetime games are against the NFC North, the Bears, Lions, Rams, Packers. All of those games are primetime. We have another primetime game against the NFC, the 5th game, against the Rams. And these are not in any particular order. And then we have Thanksgiving primetime against the Chiefs. So we have 2 Thursday night games, primetimes. And then we have 4 other primetime games, and they're all against NFC teams. Wow. The only one that we have that's not NFC is the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. Christmas, we play a game. Bills are playing a rematch against Denver in Christmas. It's a 4:25 game, I believe, so not prime time, but man. The good thing about that is 2 of them are Thursday games, right? So that kind of gives us a mini bye, right? Again, our bye is week 7, right? So once we played the Raiders, the next game against the Ravens is after a bye. So we see the Ravens after a bye, and then we play the Vikings. Again, in all these games here, the only one we're not favored to win is the Rams. We're favored to win all these games except for the Rams game. We're now through 2 quarters of the season. We have the Jets, Dolphins, Chiefs, and Patriots. We are favorites to win all these except for the Patriots game at New England. The Jets, not worried about them like that. The Dolphins, not worried about them. The Chiefs, primetime, Thanksgiving. I'm going to enjoy my meal, just saying. But, yeah, the Chiefs is going to be a nice, tough game. We'll see what happens. It really depends on how their team recovers from everything. Rasheed Rice is, decides to stop being a knucklehead and get his stuff together. We'll see. The Patriots game, I still favor us in that game. I don't think the Patriots are really all that personally, but we'll see what happens. The next quarter of the season, which is actually 5 games, is at the Packers, which we are not favored in that one. So this is the first time I think in like 5 years that the Bills are not favored in back-to-back games. Patriots and Packers. We're not favored in that one at Green Bay. We play in the cold, but that's a different kind of cold, right? Wisconsin is definitely colder than Buffalo. We may get more snow than they do, but Wisconsin's colder. Then we play the Bears at home. We're favored against them. Broncos, Dolphins. So in our last 7 games, 6 games, 4 of them are away. Packers, Bears. We're favored favorite to beat the Bears, and that's 2 back-to-back primetime games. Then we have the Broncos on Christmas Day. Short mini bye there. We play the Dolphins at Miami. Favorite to win that one. And then the Jets are our last home game of the year. Again this year, just like they were last year. The Buffalo Bills round out their schedule. We have a tough schedule, guys. We have a tough schedule. The Bills bye week is week 7. 3 short weeks. Lions, Chiefs, Broncos. We see them on Thursday night, and Friday night. Lions on Thursday night to open the season at the new Highmark Stadium. Chiefs Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, and Broncos Friday afternoon. Christmas is on a Friday this year, and so Friday afternoon. But we do get 3 mini buys, right? So we get 2 extra days for the Broncos, and then we get 3 extra days for the Chiefs and the Lions. The Lions game is going to be a little extra tough because we're coming off of playing Houston, so it depends on how they look. But, man, I'm excited for the season, guys. I'm excited for the season. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys are excited for it too. But, guys, that has been my show. I know it's short today, but this was kind of short notice. I wasn't supposed to be here. I'm here. I hate my man Dave. Hey, Dave, I'm going to be home because of, the weather here in North Carolina, Virginia. Not being cooperative. We were supposed to take our kids to Busch Gardens and, just have a good time riding some roller coasters. Last week we were at Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's actually in Charlotte and I think Spartansburg, South Carolina. It's on the border of the Carolinas. Therefore, they call it Carowinds. And when you walk in the park, you actually walk along the border of both states. So you can actually stand on the border in the park and take a picture, one leg in North Carolina, one leg in South Carolina, and do whatever crazy poses and dances you want on the border. And so half of the park is in South Carolina, the other half is in North Carolina. It's a good time. Busch Gardens is also a very good time. It's a bigger park. The better coaster is at Carowinds with the Fury. If you look at just the best coaster of all of those parks, but more fun coasters at Busch Gardens. You got the Griffin, you got Alpengeist, you got Afterburner. A lot of fun coasters there. So. Yeah. But, guys, that is my show. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. You know what they say. Do good, be good, God bless, and go Bills. And we are out of here. Adios, amigos.